Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you all today. Today, we will be exploring the fascinating world of site technology transfer from a global perspective. I'm Dr. S.K. Singh, and I'm excited to guide you through this presentation. We'll cover key concepts, challenges, and best practices involved in transferring technology across different sites worldwide. So, let's get started and dive into this important topic together. Let's take a closer look at what site-to-site technology transfer really means. Essentially, it involves transferring three main components: the product itself, the process used to make that product, and the analytical methods needed to ensure quality. The goal is to move this knowledge from one manufacturing site to another, which could be within the same company or even between different companies. It's important to understand that this isn't just about copying instructions. It's a systematic process. It involves sharing knowledge, documenting procedures, and ensuring that the process can be reliably reproduced at the new site. This systematic transfer helps maintain quality, consistency, and compliance across different manufacturing locations. So, when we talk about site-to-site technology transfer, we're referring to a structured approach to sharing critical manufacturing information to ensure the product is made correctly, regardless of where it's produced. This is a key part of scaling up or diversifying manufacturing capabilities while maintaining the integrity of the product and process. Let's talk about the key objectives of transferring a site. First and foremost, our goal is to ensure consistent product quality. We want every batch to meet the same high standards, no matter where it's produced. Equally important is maintaining regulatory compliance across all regions involved. This helps us avoid issues with authorities and keeps our products on the market smoothly. Another critical point is enabling continuity in our global supply chain. We need to make sure that our products are available everywhere without interruption. And of course, supporting the commercial scale-up is vital, making sure we can increase production efficiently while maintaining quality. Overall, our main goal here is to preserve quality, safety, and efficacy across all sites involved in the transfer process. Now, to achieve these objectives, we follow some key principles outlined by the WHO TRS 1044. First, we need a well-documented project plan. This means every step and responsibility is clear and recorded. Next, we apply quality risk management based on ICH Q9 guidelines to identify and mitigate potential risks early on. We also adopt a life cycle approach, meaning we view the transfer as part of the product's entire life cycle, not just a one-time event. It's essential to have defined roles for both the sending unit and the receiving unit to ensure accountability. And finally, the transfer must be planned and executed within a solid quality system. This ensures everything is done consistently, controlled, and in line with regulatory expectations. All these principles help us manage the transfer effectively, keeping our focus on quality and compliance throughout the process. Let's walk through the technology transfer lifecycle. It begins with project initiation, where we define the scope and objectives of the transfer. Next is planning, which involves detailed scheduling and resource allocation to ensure a smooth process. Then comes execution, where the actual transfer activities take place, followed by qualification and validation to confirm that everything meets the required standards. Finally, we have review and closure, where we assess the process, document lessons learned, and formally close the project. It's important to remember that WHO recommends a phased approach for transfer projects. This structured method helps manage risks and ensures quality at each step. Now, considering global factors, there are several key considerations. Different regions have varying regulatory requirements. US FDA, EMA, CDSCO all have specific guidelines we need to follow. Environmental and climatic conditions also play a role. For example, stability conditions differ between Zone II and Zone IV countries. Supply chain differences can impact timelines and logistics, so we need to plan accordingly. Language and documentation are another aspect. Ensuring clarity and compliance across different regions is crucial for a successful transfer. By understanding these global considerations, we can better tailor our transfer strategies to meet regional needs and ensure a seamless process worldwide. Now let's talk about the gap analysis, which is a critical step in the transfer process. When comparing the current site, or SU, with the new site, or RU, we need to look at several key areas. First, equipment design. Are the equipment at the new site comparable to the existing setup? Next, utilities such as HVAC systems and water supply. These are essential for maintaining the proper environment and ensuring product quality. We also need to consider batch size differences. Are we producing the same scale, or are there variations that could impact the process? And finally, analytical capabilities. Do the new site's testing and analytical methods match those of the current site? Identifying and addressing these gaps before the transfer is vital to prevent any surprises down the line. Moving on to validation requirements, these are crucial for ensuring the process remains consistent and compliant. We need process validation at the new site, confirming that the process performs as expected in the new environment. Cleaning validation is also important to ensure no cross-contamination occurs. Additionally, analytical method transfer must be validated to guarantee testing accuracy. Equipment qualification, including IQ, OQ, and PQ, is necessary to verify that equipment functions correctly throughout the process. Of course, the extent of validation depends on the risk involved and the life cycle stage of the product. Higher-risk products or those in early stages will require more comprehensive validation efforts. Overall, thorough gap analysis and validation planning are essential steps to ensure a smooth and compliant transfer, supporting the overall goal of maintaining product quality and regulatory compliance throughout the process. Now, let's talk about risk assessment according to ICH Q9. The first step is to identify risks to critical quality attributes, or CQAs. These are the potential issues that could impact the quality of our final product. Once we've identified these risks, we need to evaluate them by considering three key factors: severity, probability, and detectability. Severity refers to how serious the impact would be if the risk materializes. Probability is about how likely it is that the risk will occur. And detectability involves assessing how easily we can identify the risk before it affects the product. For example, if we have a larger reactor, one risk might be incomplete mixing. This could lead to uneven product quality, which is a significant concern. By systematically evaluating these aspects, we can prioritize which risks need more control or mitigation. This structured approach helps us ensure that we're proactively managing risks and maintaining the integrity of our product throughout the process. Let's talk about the regulatory filing requirements that we need to be aware of globally. When it comes to post-approval changes, or PAC submissions, these are necessary adjustments or modifications that often happen after a product has been approved. For example, if there's a site change for the active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API, that would require regulatory approval before proceeding. In the European Union, we deal with variation filings, which are a way to notify authorities about changes that might impact the product's quality or compliance. And in the United States, we have the Prior Approval Supplement, or PA, which is required for significant changes that need FDA approval before implementation. The key point here is that each region has its own specific requirements and processes. While they differ, compliance with these regulatory standards is essential to ensure that our products remain legal and safe in every market. So, understanding these regional nuances and preparing the necessary documentation is a critical part of global product management. Let's take a closer look at the key documentation requirements that are crucial for a successful technology transfer. First, we have the Technology Transfer Dossier, or TTD, which serves as the comprehensive collection of all essential process and product information. This dossier ensures that everyone involved has a clear understanding of the manufacturing process and quality standards. Next, batch manufacturing records are vital. They provide detailed, step-by-step documentation of each production batch, helping us track consistency and traceability. Then, We have validation protocols and reports, which are necessary to demonstrate that our processes consistently produce products that meet quality requirements. These protocols outline how we validate each process, and the reports confirm that validation was successful. Finally, analytical methods are the tools we use to assess product quality. Proper documentation of these methods guarantees that testing is reliable and reproducible across different batches and facilities. Overall, comprehensive documentation is essential for compliance. It not only supports regulatory approval, but also helps maintain product quality and consistency throughout the life cycle. Keeping these documents thorough and well-organized is a fundamental part of successful technology transfer. Let's talk about some of the key challenges we face in global site transfer. First, regulatory variability across countries can be quite complex. Each region has its own rules and standards, which makes compliance a continuous challenge. Then, there are technology gaps between sites, meaning different facilities may not be on the same platform or level of automation, which can slow down integration. Supply chain disruptions are also a major concern, especially given recent global events, leading to delays or shortages that impact transfer timelines. Cultural and communication barriers can further complicate collaboration, as different teams may have varying expectations, languages, or working styles. To address these challenges, strong project management is essential. We need to plan meticulously, monitor progress closely, and adapt quickly. A risk-based approach helps us identify and prioritize potential issues before they escalate. And finally, fostering cross-functional collaboration ensures that all teams, from regulatory to operations, work together seamlessly, which is critical for a successful site transfer. By focusing on these strategies, we can mitigate risks and ensure a smoother transition across our global sites. In this case study, we're looking at a global transfer scenario, specifically transferring API manufacturing from the USA to India. One of the main challenges we faced was the difference in equipment capacity between the two locations. This can affect process scale-up and consistency. Another challenge was variation in raw material suppliers, which can lead to differences in raw material quality and impact the final product. Climatic conditions also played a role, as environmental factors like temperature and humidity can influence manufacturing processes and stability. To address these challenges, we started by conducting a thorough gap analysis to identify where differences might cause issues. We then performed pilot batches to test the process adjustments in the new setting. This step was crucial to ensure the process was robust and reproducible. Finally, we revalidated the process in the new location, confirming that it met all regulatory requirements and quality standards. The outcome was very positive, obtaining successful regulatory approval and moving into commercialization. This case highlights the importance of careful planning, thorough testing, and validation when transferring manufacturing across borders. It also ties back to our overall theme of ensuring quality and compliance in global operations. Now, as we come to the conclusion, it's important to emphasize that site-to-site transfer plays a critical role in the success of global pharmaceutical operations. Ensuring these transfers are handled properly is essential for maintaining product quality across different markets. To achieve this, a risk-based approach is absolutely key. This means we need to identify and evaluate potential risks at each stage and put appropriate controls in place. Strong documentation is also vital. Clear, thorough records help ensure consistency, facilitate audits, and support regulatory compliance. Speaking of regulations, aligning with regulatory requirements across different regions is crucial. This alignment helps us avoid compliance issues and smooths the pathway for product approval and market entry. Ultimately, by integrating these principles, risk management, solid documentation, and regulatory alignment, we can consistently deliver high-quality products worldwide, supporting our overall goal of patient safety and trust. For further support, please contact us. We're here to help if you have any questions or need additional information. Don't hesitate to reach out. Your success is our priority. Thank you so much for your time and attention today.